want you to tell us about your session and your priority bills. And we'll start with you, Kathleen.
First of all, thank you all for inviting us. I'm really thrilled and honored that we have so many people here. I said to Danny, well, if we have 20, I'm not coming. So I really appreciate it, particularly in the summer when a lot of y'all want to take vacation. So I have not filed any bills in now 4 years, because as majority leader, I couldn't file bills, and then as rules chair, I couldn't file bills. But what I was in the last 4 years was an officious intermeddler in everybody else's bill. And as you know, my involvement in the legislative process is about to change. The last couple of years, I kind of got involved in initiatives, and I want to publicly thank you all for what you did with regard to helping work out the constitutional amendment fiasco, but then coming out ahead with the Hometown Heroes program. I'm not sure who in Florida Realtors came up with that idea, but it is rock solid, and people are just signing up. I think the first week it was in bill, we had $10 million that were appropriated. So I'll turn this over to Bobby and Lauren, and then later on, if you're asking about what I plan on doing for the next 2 years, I'll weigh in on that. Thank you.
It's a tough act to follow because, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you too. The three of us here actually aren't running for office this year, if you didn't hear, because we're all officially elected because nobody opposed it. It's kind of disappointing that we don't have to go knock on doors. And, we still have to raise money, so you're not getting off the hook that easy. But similar to Kathleen, I didn't really have any major priority bills last year. The bills that I've been working on the last 2 years were property insurance reform, and we did a lot. I knew we needed to do more, but there were a couple key people maybe on the House's side that were standing in the way, and the governor stepped in special session, and we did a tremendous amount. But as many of you may have heard, it may have not been enough, and it may have been too late. 17 of our major carriers may be downgraded on Tuesday, which mean it may be more difficult to sell homes in Florida. It may be more difficult to find insurance companies in Florida in the middle of hurricane season. But I know the governor's office, the future Senate president is fully engaged, and so is the Speaker of the House. But it could be catastrophic if we don't figure it out. But it's full court press, and we're going to continue to work hard on it. And for me, if there's not any plaintiff attorneys in here, nothing against them. But the reason I pushed so hard back on it because I knew that there was a problem when 75 cents of every dollar paid in insurance claims went to attorneys. And well, now we're seeing it, and I'm sure we're going to figure it out, but it's going to be a long weekend until Tuesday to see if we can get some type of resolution, because it's way more complex than just waving a magic wand, because now you have Washington, Fannie and Freddie involved, and everybody. So that was my priority. We're gonna, obviously, it hasn't gone away, so I'm going to continue to work as more situations come up. And next year, I don't know exactly what position I'm going to have with incoming Speaker Renner, but I'm sure it'll be policy agenda, and we're going to continue to make sure Florida is Florida. So thank you.
I would stand up, but I don't think it'll make a difference. So I had to get a cheat sheet because I have CRS, and that is not a realtor designation. First of all, thank you all. It's great. It's great. I know, right? It's great to see you all again. I don't get an opportunity to come back to NABOR very often and see all my friends, and so it's great to be here. I wish we could have done this earlier in the year and just, maybe we could have therapy sessions every quarter. That would be great. First session, I ran a bill for Florida Realtors, and My colleague Bob gave me a hazing over that bill, but we did get it passed, and he had some fun in the interim. This session, I passed 5 bills and landed on someone's list for passing the most successful passage of bills of all 120 members. Thank you. So you all watching me through the years and going, oh my God, she's a pain in the ass. You're right, and they've all learned that up in Tallahassee. So they'll probably all send you note cards that says, keep her in Naples. But anyway, I'm glad to be here and do this legislative update, and thank you all for having us.
Thank you all. Legislator Melo, I was here on May 27th, which I think was originally there, and I walked in and I asked, I said, well, where's the neighbor event? And they said, they didn't know. And so I finally went up to the desk. I finally called Danny. I said, Danny, isn't the legislative, report done today? And she says, no, we moved it off to July. So my parking thing still hasn't passed, and I'm really worried how much it's going to be by the time I leave this building. Thank you all very much. In your opinion, what was the most consequential bill passed with impact to real estate? And we'll start with you, Bob, and then go to Lauren and Kathleen.
Well, without a doubt, it was the one we came back for special session. It was the one that we made the most significant tort reform policy in the state's history. And, we'll see. I mean, what's upsetting with this report from this rating agency is when you pass legislation, it takes time for it to be implemented and you can actually see the impact. And if you're an insurance company and you survived the last 3 years between hurricanes and lawsuits with this new legislation, which is not going to deny access for people that are harmed, but it's going to stop a lot of the frivolous lawsuits. There's insurance companies that actually made money last year in 2021 that are on the list of being downgraded. Wow. And if that happens, I mean, if this goes forward, it'll change all of our lives. But that was by far the most, substantial to not just real estate, but to the way our life here. I mean, real estate, Citizens Insurance, which is the state-backed insurance company, is right now the fastest growing insurance company in America. And it's really not an insurance company. It was supposed to be a stopgap. We didn't address that in legislation, but we did address the frivolous lawsuits and the door knockers that caused a lot of the damage. But right now, the damage, we're seeing the fruits of the damage, and we'll see what happens. But assuming we get through this, which I know we will, long term, this will be the best policy that we've ever seen for real estate.
I agree. I think our special session to tackle insurance was important. I also think the Hometown Heroes bill was also important. There were several water quality initiatives that were very important that affect our industry. And I think I kind of went into this position really not knowing what curveballs it would throw. And there are the bills that passed that we all know about, and they receive a lot of coverage. And there are bills that don't receive coverage. There are bills that impact fees that we aren't talking about from the first session. Nick DeSigli ran an impact fee bill that got everybody's attention. And another bill that I filed an amendment 30 minutes before committee on was filed in Sarasota by the property appraisers that would affect your homestead exemptions, and giving property appraisers having the right to come into your home and do a percentage of your homestead exemption if you had somebody occupying a bedroom in your home. So there are the bills that passed that we all, they got great media coverage and we're all talking about the importance. And then there's also bills that when you have 3 people that are very committed to the housing industry, they also catch. And those are kind of our unsung heroes as well that were very important.
I'm not sure I have anything to add with regard to because I think the property insurance bill, coupled with Surfside, were critical to, moving forward in our state. Unfortunately, like with the Surfside bill, we kind of did that the last minute. We're gonna have a glitch bill, we're already working on it. There were a number of bills that didn't pass that we need to also work on. One is the, I just had a brain fart. Oh, the vacation rental bill. It did not pass. We have to address it, along with some of our affordable housing initiatives. So, stay tuned for that.
No, you don't need to hand me a microphone, I've got my own. But you can give that back to Lauren. Thank you. So, our next question was, what was the most surprising bill that passed this year?
Thanks, Brett.
Sorry, I knew you.
Thanks, buddy. I think as a woman, and I know my colleagues are probably cringing right now, because we were asked this question at chamber meeting as well. And a lot of my colleagues that are women, we became adults, young adults, and we had children. I think the idea of taking on Roe versus Wade in my first session really was surprising. Like I knew that, at some point it would be here, but for it to be my very first session, I have to say that was probably my biggest surprise, or that I'm already not getting sleep, losing weight, and my hair at the same time. So here we go. So yes, that would have been the biggest surprise for me.
That's a tough act to follow, but I didn't know that we overturned Roe v. Wade. I thought that was the Supreme Court. But some of the most surprising thing was actually what happened after session. There were two bills that the governor vetoed that I was kind of surprised at, and but we have a great governor and we work great together. But sometimes you get some disagreements between the legislative branch and the executive branch, and you still go forward and work on them. But there was a lot of people that I think that were surprised there when we try not to embarrass either side, House, Senate, or governor's office, and not that you have these deals all worked out, but there's times when things get changed, or there's a bill that you think is going to pass and it gets vetoed, or a bill you think will never pass, but in the end, the state of Florida, we still have maybe not 1,100 people a day because you guys can't build homes fast enough, but I think we're about 900 people a day moving here because we are the free state of Florida. But I was just kind of surprised that the governor vetoed a couple of bills that were substantial.
Most of what we passed were not surprise to me because I was privileged to be from Hamilton at the table, or in the room where it happened. Except, I think it was like a Tuesday night, we got a call from the governor's office that something was going on with Disney, and Wednesday morning we went to the floor and had the bill, and we passed it in like 24 seconds. The special districts. I understand what the parameters were, I understand why it happened, but I think we're trying to work it out and we're talking to them, but that was very surprising. It's daunting to try to manage 40 senators, and I can't imagine 120 House members when you wake up one morning, you're going to the floor on a bill you never saw before. But it worked, and we're gonna fix it or not or whatever in next session.
Thank you. We should have put this one obviously further up on the agenda because we've talked about it about 5 times already. We've only had 3 questions. So would each of you, let's talk about the special session. What in your opinion?
Which special session? We had
I know. Well, this is the special session about insurance. Insurance, okay, property insurance. So what, from your opinion, are the top 3 things that came out of the special session regarding property insurance? Senator, you're first.
Give a lot of credit to Bob because he worked really hard in the House on that. the number one issue for me was the fee multiplier. We have to rein in attorney's fees on these cases. Second thing, the roof issues that we undertook. We had tried to pass that during session, it didn't work. And so, reining in the roof claims. And the third thing was, for me, it was, I have give a lot of credit to the governor because we tried really hard, and Bob alluded to it during session, to pass meaningful reform. And it shows you, because I can say it now, that one person, the Speaker of the House, held up to complete the bill. And because the governor weighed in on it, I give him a lot of credit. During the special session, he said, you will sit down, you will work it out, and you will do it. And we did. And I give a lot of credit to people like Bob and Speaker Renner and members of the, it's politics suck. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and it was very hard to get that done. And for me, I look at it as being a real test of endurance and a will, and that bill will make a difference.
Yeah, not to be the dead trial attorney, but
He's been practicing that.
that's pretty good, right? But for the last 4 years, I have filed more tort reform bills than probably anybody, and the resistance I got from some people, I won't say who, and sometimes it's politics and sometimes it's people not believing in philosophy. And we all hear stories of whether it's homeowners or homeowner insurance company, auto insurance companies, life insurance companies, health insurance companies, when somebody's claim is not paid. But you know what? None of us know what their policy says. Not one of us know what's in everybody's individual policy. And I don't know that, but as an ex-banker and a little geeky person that counts things by basis points, when I see that 75 cents of every single claim goes to attorneys, Florida represents about 8% of all homeowners claims in America, but we represent 78% of every lawsuit when it goes regards to it. And we see those people that they say that they're there to protect individuals. Now we're seeing TV commercials. Hey, were you in a car accident and did a truck hit you? Call me. Because they know if you have a commercial truck, you have $1 million liability, minimum liability. And listen, people need to be paid when they're truly hurt. But it was never meant to make people rich. The American Tort Reform Institute in Washington says, yes, Florida has no income tax, but they estimate every single Floridian pays $4,300 in higher prices or premiums because of lawsuits. And that's why I've always taken on that fight. And this year I couldn't get anything done. Last year when I ran SB 76, huge change, for attorney fees and pre-suit notices. Not that all attorneys are following that, that's in the court also. But when the governor finally, and I really believe it was the governor that gave us the bill, because when he finally gave us that bill today, it was like, I literally almost had a heart attack. What was in it and how aggressive it was, and still protect the consumers. And again, the governor, he had the appetite to take the backlash, because there's going to be people saying, oh my God, especially if we have a storm, look at this house. But we don't know what's in their policies, but we do know that we have a crisis, and he addressed it, and give him 100% credit, because he took it on, and actually, it's kind of funny, the bill was more aggressive than my bill the previous year, and we had 20 more House votes than we did the previous year. But it just shows you when you have a great governor and great policy, you get things done.
Bob has been a great mentor in teaching everything there is to know about insurance reform. I think he opened my eyes up to citizens and how we can't keep just dumping policies into citizens. So opening up our market, bringing in more carriers to have more competition, that was one of the great takeaways. Assignment of benefits, addressing that, another great takeaway, and the fee multiplier. I had no idea. I about fell out of my chair when Bob stood up and on the floor and talked about, out of the millions of dollars that we paid, isn't it 14 million roughly, that only over 10 million went to attorneys, and
15 million total claims, 10.4 went to attorneys.
and the rest went to people that actually have issues, a claim to do a repair. So that's incredible, and those for me were the biggest takeaways and why this reform bill was so important, that special session.
Thank you. And this one, we will start with Representative Rommel. I want you to take a look into your crystal ball, and I want you to tell us what you think next session will look like, and how does the election impact session, and what topics and bills will you be taking up next year? That's a much better crystal ball, I can tell right now.
Well, even what, happened, when we got the news a day and a half ago on the possible downgrades, you don't know, and I don't really predict the future, and I don't really have anything that, like, I'm personally motivated. My goal here, and I speak with Speaker D. Renner all the time, is whatever policy we pass, hopefully it makes the state better, not just next year, but next 10, 20, or 30 years. I'm not saying I could do better things with my life, because for $29,000 a year, I could probably make a little bit more money if I wanted to, and maybe have less aggravation. But, in the 6 years that I've been elected, it's amazing how many things come up, and we're a great state. I mean, we've had, the Marjorie Dugman school shooting, we've had multiple hurricanes, we had the shooting at the Pulse nightclub, with what's happening with hyperinflation, that's affecting all of our markets way more than anybody's even paying attention to. I mean, right now, we put $10, $12 billion in the bank and projected maybe next year an additional 10, but that could go away in months. If the economy slows down, we had a recession, it'll go away instantly. So, we just have to make sure we have good policy that makes sense for everybody, and and it was great that we had restraint, that we didn't spend $120 billion in our budget, and because there's unlimited needs, no matter how much money it's difficult sometimes to say no to somebody, because there are tremendous needs. But I think Florida's showed that restraint, and we're going to continue to have environmental needs, whether it's water quality, whether it's septic tanks to sewers, or algae blooms are always going to happen, and we're going to have to continue to fund those resources. But the two things that we always have to fund is education and healthcare, and as our population grows, those needs only grow faster. So, for me, I don't know, but I mean, I didn't know that 2 days ago we were going to have an insurance crisis that may be the worst we've ever had. So, I just think that you're kind of like the firemen. You're shining the truck, you're making sure your hoses and gauges work, and you just have to be ready to whatever happens. And again, I think as we take Senator Passidomo and Speaker D. Renner takes the reins, you have to have good soldiers that are just willing to go in and fight whatever fire is going to come, because they're coming. So, but I that's the best I can say.
You can go ahead. We don't mind, however you want to switch it around.
So let me peel. I'm going to stand up for this, and I'm going to take a little bit of time because you guys are my peeps. Let me peel away the onion. Speaker Renner and I have 2 years to accomplish a great deal, and I'm very fortunate that I have respect, admiration, and I care for this man. He's a little shorter than me, so it's fine. He's a little more serious than me, but that's fine. We have talked, and this is very unusual, we have talked honestly and sincerely, because a lot of times in politics it's bullshit where you talk and pretend you love each other and you really don't. But he and I have talked honestly and sincerely many, many times. We have very similar philosophies. And we have talked about a couple of things. Number one, we wanna do a joint work plan. What do we wanna do together to make our state move forward? The first thing we talked about is, we have never in this state done a long-range plan, ever. Because you have speakers and presidents that are there for 2 years. And that's it. So you do your thing for 2 years and you move on, and the next guy, or and in my case, gal, comes up and does their thing. So we talked about even maybe doing a long-range planning committee. I mean, y'all do, your people in business do it, so we're talking about that. Where do we want the state of Florida to be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, 50 years from now, and how do we get there? And it's across the board. Bob alluded to education and healthcare. We have infrastructure needs. We have all kinds of things that are where we need to be as a state. So that's number one. Number two, the most important thing in the current time frame is affordable housing, whatever you call it. Some people call it affordable, some people call it attainable, some people call it workforce. It doesn't matter. Every single person, every single business in this state, when we go, everywhere we go, says, I can't find employees because they have nowhere to live. So, and I talked to the governor about this on Tuesday. He's on board. The reality is, on the coast, we are not going to be able to provide affordable housing initiatives because, for home down payment assistance, all the things that you guys are invested in. Because if you're making $100,000 or whatever, you can't afford a $500,000 house. Just forget it. It's not going to happen. So we're going to have to revamp the whole process. The speaker is willing to allow me to kind of move forward on that. This is what I've been doing for 40 some odd years, transactional stuff. We are going to tackle this issue, and I have so many interesting the word creative ideas coming from all over the state on how we can tackle this problem. And I promise you, if it's the last thing I do, I am going to work on this, because I've lived in Naples for 43 years, and for 43 years we've been talking about there's no place for people to live. So stay tuned to that. The second issue that is critical, and it's important to the governor and the speakers on board, is the issue of water, and growth. And part of the long-range planning is we have not taken into consideration what the impact of the enormous growth is on the state of Florida. Because everything we've done, and the best example is the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, done 26 years ago, maybe more by now. They never, ever considered that we were going to have this many people living in Florida. Never considered it. And all those people need water to drink, and et cetera. So we are going to have to kind of take a hard look at how we're going to maintain our systems. Bob alluded to it, and I know Lauren's been working on it for the newcomers who's moving in, because it is not 1,000 people a day. It's way more than that. Way more than that. As part of that, and I want to tell you what, I know I'm taking a lot of time, this is so important to me.
Senate President, you can take all the time you want.
The biggest thing, and this is for a Southwest Florida thing, let me ask you guys a question. So, how many have lived here more than 10, 15 years? Okay, do you remember when you would go to Miami, and how'd you get there? You took 41, you didn't take 75, it didn't exist. And when you went to Miami, when you passed Collier Boulevard, now is 951, you went by that U-Pick on the corner, or whatever it was, the farm stand, what did you see? Nothing. Except for farm field after farm field after farm field. Then you got to what was then Bermuda Ranch. You saw the cradling plant over there, but that was it. Then you got to the Miccosukee airboat thing, Clyde Butcher's house, and then you got to Miami. What do you have now?
Everything.
Condo. Because the farmers who had the vegetables are sold out to the developers, which, you know what, I support that, we all support that, it's great. In fact, remember, about maybe 5 years ago, you'd see a big sign, condos from the 250s, close to beaches and shopping. I'm thinking, what the hell shopping they're talking about? Or what beaches are they talking about? Now it's condos from the 550s, close to beaches and shopping. And, or maybe it's more. That's great, and it's wonderful because we love those visitors, except when they're down on Fifth Avenue and you're trying to go to dinner. But here's the problem. Every one of those farm fields that is now a condominium has created two issues. One, all the people that have moved in there need water. Two, after they drink the water, what do? They pee in the whatever. We need the infrastructure to service them. Number three, what used to be there, tomatoes, peppers, whatever, which were the winter vegetables that service the entire eastern seaboard, little by little are disappearing. So when we talk about dependence on foreign oil, that ain't nothing compared to dependence on foreign food. Do you want to pay $20 for a tomato from Mexico? Because that is what's going to happen if we don't fix it. So you know what we did 2 sessions ago, and we continue this year? We codified the wildlife corridor. You guys know what that is, right? Is there anybody who does not know what the wildlife corridor is? The wildlife corridor, okay, 50 years from now, when they write a book about the history of Florida, they will say that the best thing that we did was codify the wildlife corridor, because it's our central park. And I've said this before, and that is the entire center of the state is mainly, other than those cute little towns, farm fields, cattle grazing, and nothing. You got Fish Eating Creek, you got the Kissimmee River, you got Lake Kissimmee, it's nothing. All those farmers are being either pushed out or not or whatever. And what the state of Florida is doing is we're putting money in the rural steward, whatever, I don't know the acronyms, to buy their development rights. And we are, from willing sellers, we are buying their development rights. So this is the best deal going. They're cashing out now, but they can continue to farm. They just can't develop it. So they've got their money. The Burt Harris Act and all that other stuff is taken care of because they got their money, but they're going to farm forever. And if they decide they want to not farm and retire, they can sell to another farmer. So the center of the state is going to be green space in perpetuity as we buy out those lands. I know, it is the coolest thing I've ever done, seen, whatever. Because honestly, if you have, does anybody here own a helicopter? If you do, go up, take a trip up the wildlife corridor. There's a map and everything, because it's the most stunning thing you've ever seen. And the other thing, and then I'm going to end and hand over to these guys, is we're working on building a bike path up the wildlife corridor.
Yeah.
Because honestly, there's no access bike for cars, because a lot of it's farm field and cows and cattle and other stuff. But we have, some of it's wetland, you got panther crossings and all this cool stuff, bear things or whatever. So we have the Sun Trail system, as you all know, and it's kind of in pieces all over the place. And I just saw a map of it the other day, and there's pieces here and pieces there. There's none down here. They're talking about it. But if we can build a bike path from Naples to Orlando, through there, and you could, I won't be here, I'll be on a rocking chair, I'm sure, because it'll take 20 years. But you'll be able to ride your bicycle from Naples to Orlando, going up the corridor, in and out. Lake Okeechobee has a trail already. I don't even know if you know that Lake Okeechobee has a bike path all around it on top of the dike. And you can go in all those little towns. So, more, I don't even know the names. It is so cool. So for me, that is a mission, and I am so excited. These are the kind of things. We're going to be doing a lot of non-exciting things, boring things, and whatever. But these are two things: affordable housing, and also keeping the wildlife corridor moving, because I think everybody here has a kid or a grandkid that you want to live in Florida, and these are the kind of things we're going to provide to them. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleagues.
Yeah, so, she said everything. Yes, whatever she said, whatever Senator Passidomo said. I think water quality will continue to be a focus. The governor he's funded the most towards water quality of any governor we've had. HB 579 was a bill that I ran this past session. I strongly believe in this bill. The project's happening, even though it only passed the House, because my Senate partner's good. Anyway, yes, but that being,
I can talk to them.
I know.
I'm gonna smack him.
Yes.
I can do that.
And Senator Passidomo actually just sent a great letter of support to the department supporting the project. This project is literally going and removing the toxic algae blooms off of Lake Okeechobee. And what it does is it then is emulsifying all of those blooms, and it is creating a byproduct or a soil amendment, and it is shipping it miles away to our farmers that are using it as fertilizers for their pastures. Yes. So I will continue to push for that, work on getting continued funding so that we can clean up Lake Okeechobee as a start, and we can move to Lake Kissimmee and Lake Apopka and all the other lakes that we need to clean up. But obviously Lake Okeechobee was very important to me because when we discharge, guess what we all get down the Caloosahatchee and into our backyards here? Yes, that affect the real estate industry. So that's important, and I think Senator Passidomo and I have had conversations about affordable housing. She is very committed to looking for some ideas. We actually kind of had the same idea, but talking about ADUs. I know you all understand ADUs. And I think that we have some opportunity there to create some ADUs for some affordable housing. Having 3 kids that were born and raised here in Naples, and they can't really afford a house here. And I think we need to start thinking about that generation as well, finding some housing alternatives for them. So I think that you will see a lot of affordable housing, also address water quality. Ag is important. My district covers a lot of ag. I go to the annual citrus growers meeting, and it's really rather depressing when you think about orange juice going away and that our citrus industry is declining. They don't have a lot of options right now, and it's huge for Florida and the citrus industry. So I think we've got a lot of issues that we can potentially work on and tackle coming up, but Senator Passidomo covered a lot, and Representative Rommel also.
I think you need to hang on to the mic because I think it's your turn to start first. Fine. Okay, in every session there's some special event. I'll never forget the time we all went up there for Great American Realtor Days, and one of the guys got up and proposed to his future wife, and it was really cool. I know you were there.
Who was that?
That's what I was trying to remember. The only person that would really remember that is Matt, and Danny doesn't know. So yeah, but I know we were up there. Rick, you were there. Where's Rick Bransky? No, I know, that's me too. But it was really cool because he had this ode and this whole long, statement, like reading it like a bill and going through, I hereby propose to so and so on such and such a date at a certain time, and it was really cool. But in every session there's a special moment. Someone proposes on the floor or introduces a special guest. Were there any special moments that stood out for you this year? Boy, blindside them, huh? Now, see, we thought that the worst thing was to give a microphone to a realtor. Now, I'm telling you, second place is right here, but these guys are great.
Special moments, I mean, there's a lot of recognitions which happen, and the recognitions I think are kind of cool. I mean, a lot of people bring their kids and they bring their family and they, they give accolades to them for what they do and how much they support each other, because it is difficult. I tell Kathleen once a month, maybe more. I don't know how she does it. As the incoming Senate president, she is constantly everywhere all the time, and I just can't imagine. And then having to raise the amount of money that she has to raise.
Good idea.
Yes. So I think that was really incredible. Plus we also, and Bob, I think it was a resolution for Ukraine.
I did not have the.
You didn't do it, but we did it on the floor.
No, we did, yes.
We passed a resolution and everybody, it was bipartisan across the board. It was basically a statement that said, we don't agree with Ukraine and what's happening to the people in Ukraine. And it's moments like that you all come together. It doesn't matter what party affiliation you are, and you find that common denominator that we're all there for a reason. Everybody was there and everybody was in agreement, and so that was probably one of the most significant moments for me on the floor.
On a different note, significant and semi-embarrassing moment on the floor. Not for me, but if we watch the CBS, NBC News or anything right now, still January 6th is the topic of Washington. And it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It was an awful day in American history. Actually, I had tears in my eye because, as most of us, ladies and gentlemen that serve, at least in the Florida House, Washington is a cesspool. And I know there's a few good people, but that's it. The rest of it, they don't really care about policy. Matter of fact, yesterday, even the the U.S. Senate, including 14 Republicans, agreed to debate an additional $250 billion spending bill, $65 billion of it going to semiconductor industry that makes, about $125 billion profit a year, and 14 Republicans passed it to go forward. But in Tallahassee, you don't usually see those, we'll say, theatrical scenes that you see on TV that's happened in Washington. And this year, we did. On the floor of the Florida House, about 20 Democrats took over the floor of the House. They literally took over and changed t-shirts and started chanting, and we had to recess. And it was, I don't even remember the bill exactly. I think it was that maybe to ban abortions after 15 weeks. And it doesn't, listen, I know what side I'm on, but if you're against it, that's, you have your chance to openly debate it like ladies and gentlemen, but they took over the floor of the House. We had to take a recess, and they stayed there for 45 minutes, an hour chanting. We came back. We had some procedural moves to call the question, and it probably wasn't ever covered on the media here. I mean, to me, it was actually January 6th was very sad to me, no matter as an American, to disrespect, Congress like that is awful. I may not like the results, but that's the results. But I'm not going to go tear down the walls and maybe hurt people. But what they did, those 20 Democrats, was embarrassing to my friends that are good Democrats that understand the process and get things done. But it was not covered. I mean, to me, it was really a sad day because I think that the job that we have is important. We get good policy done, and like I said, the governor vetoed a couple bills that all three of us here voted for, but we didn't go knock down his door and protest. It was like, okay, we'll bring it back next year and see how we make it right, and that's what you do as ladies and gentlemen that respect the office. So it was really a sad day, and maybe it's good the media didn't cover it, but that was, maybe that's the thing I remember most of this session.
I have a very personal moment. So last October, I was designated as the incoming president of the Florida Senate. And it's a very, pomp and circumstance. You have a ceremony where the members will vote for you, give a speech, the governor, the cabinet's there, former senators are there, all the agency heads are there. It's a BFD. I had the Collier County Sheriff's Office came up. I mean, it was really, you know, when you're on the floor of the Senate or the House for that matter, it's so imposing and whatever. So my dad is 99 years old. And we flew him up for the designation, because I didn't know if he'd make the actual, I call it the coronation, I don't know what to call it, this November. So we flew him up, and he sat in my seat on the floor next to my husband. And so, you know, the remarks, you give a speech, and I made sure to make particular comments about, you know, my dad and why I'm here. And you know, I couldn't be where I am. I mean, I'm 69 years old, he's 99. And, you know, we're talking about that. So when I kind of introduced him, he got a standing ovation. He got a bigger ovation than the governor. And so he hasn't stopped talking about that. He clapped for me more than the governor. I'm like, wait a minute. So anyway, that was a really poignant moment. And but it shows you that there are, that kind of is indicative of a larger thing, which is, and you know, Bob kind of alluded to it, and so did Lauren, about the sanctity, the importance of the body, and you know, working together and not disrespecting. We don't do that. We may not agree on everything, but except for that one event, which is really bad, that happened in the house, is that you always respect the body, whether you agree or not.
Yeah.
All right, just want to make sure we still have some time here, because we've got some questions from the audience now. So, let's see, you want me to make them really bad? I can pick the ones that are really horrible if you want. No. They're tough, though. There's a couple that are tough, but some of them good. I know, we're doing good here. Okay, so what are your thoughts about rent control and the local policies that are being passed in the state that are skirting rent control? Okay, let's go to the next question.
It's like speed questions here.
Yeah, you want any question? You want to respond to that at all? Anybody have any specific comments?
Yeah, no, I'll say really quickly, because this is important. You know, as I'm going around the state talking about affordable housing, workforce housing, attainable housing, whatever the hell you want to call it, you get a lot of people like Florida Rising and all those groups saying, yeah, or Charlie Chris, this is a great idea. We're going to control. We think that there should be a cap on rental increases, and by the way, a cap on what you can sell your home for. Yeah. And I'm like, that's absolutely stupid. And what I'm saying to those people who want to do that, well, I don't care. I'm unopposed. It's fine. So here's the deal. When we're dealing with taxpayer dollars, Sadowski funds, etc., taxpayers have agreed to write a check. Well, they didn't agree, but they're stuck. That's different. We can control that. But there is no way that I will ever agree, if you buy an investment property and you want to rent it out and you want to get market value, I will never tell you that you have to cap on what you can charge. I'm done.
Okay, I've got this. I don't. That's a hard act to follow.
Oh, you're right, yeah, you're good.
So, any realtor, there are 3 favorite words: private, property, rights.
Drop the mic. Okay, could you expound based on that on the vacation rental bill issue?
We're gonna do it.
How about an issue?
Listen, I'll take it up because the same thing as Laura Melo says, and I know we always hear that, but people have been renting out their homes as long as people have owned homes. Growing up in the Northeast in the New York area, you would rent a room, a couch. Is it bigger business now? Is it growing? It is, but you want to know what? It is today. But when there's a recession, I promise you, people will have signs in their house for rent and will be begging for anybody.
It is way more complicated because there are companies that are buying out entire neighborhoods, and they're renting them all out. And so there's no places for people to rent because there are no houses. We need to kind of look more seriously at it. I don't have a problem. We've already preempted the issue of state. So local governments, except if you're grandfathered in, cannot prohibit rentals. But we have to kind of look seriously at how we do it. I don't have a problem if you have a registration program. So it is a very volatile issue. I think we need to address it with the whole rental issue.
Whatever ordinance has to apply to every single property equally. And government, whether it's state government or local government, can't pick your neighbors. Because I've lived in neighborhoods where, I'm sure my neighbors didn't like me and I didn't like them, but we all had a choice either to move, and it wasn't enforced by government. And I don't know why we'd even, I understand like local government wants local home rule and all this yada yada, but what else do they register? What else do you have to get registered for so they can monitor? I think government monitors
You're
is enough.
voting for that bill, by the way, next year.
Well, it depends on what's in it. I mean, if it infringes on people's private property rights too much, I will be no, and that's just, sometimes you are no. I mean, but there is a balance, and there is a balance to control your neighborhood, but it's to control it equally. I'm about treating every single individual property owner, renter, passerby equally, no matter what they do. And if I'm gonna have one rule, it's gonna apply to everybody equally.
Yes, I am.
So we have you for a couple more questions here. If we can focus, Representative. What is your feeling about the current redistricting, and how has it affected Southwest Florida? This one ought to be a touchy one.
Obviously, the court weighed in, and what we did was exactly right. The House and Senate version of the redistricting wasn't even challenged. The congressional district was challenged by some progressives. The court found out that it to be true, and on a bigger scale, not that Republicans or Democrats matter, you have to follow the court, the law, and the Supreme Court. But it looks like if everything stays the way it is, based on the number of registered Republicans and Democrats, Florida will pick up 4 Republican congressional seats. The rest of the U.S. is going to lose 1. So without Florida, we would have lost 3 congressional seats in U.S. Congress. So for those that are hoping for Republicans to take over the House of Representatives in Washington, if it wasn't for Florida, the job was going to be much harder. And if passed all muster of every single court 100%. So again, our governor, even though he put us all through hell and had to come back for another special session, the governor was right.
Good, okay. All right, I have one question from one of our major investors who is also a member of the Hall of Fame, Debbie Z. We want to thank you. First of all, we want to say we appreciate you all. This is the last question because I know you have to run. And our question we always like to end it with, how can we help you? Do you need volunteer support, or is there something specifically that we can do to assist you in your positions?
Kathleen Sunshine.
Real quick, and seriously, talking about the elections. We have, in the House and the Senate right now, we have Republican majorities. I believe that with your help, and the Florida Realtors and I know the way you guys work is they won't do anything without you all telling them, I believe we're going to come, I've been saying we're going to come back with 26, then I went to 27 Republicans. I think we may have 28, and that's being greedy, out of 40. Which is unbelievable. And I think the House, they're just killing it. And so obviously the governor was helpful, keeping the state open. in the free state of Florida, all the language that we use. But how you help is by, you know, the dollars from you all, from RPAC, for us to get our across the finish line. We have some really good candidates, really quality people, both in the House and the Senate. You all and your support. I don't think it's the three of us are unopposed. And I think a lot of it's because the support of people like you and your neighbors, and saying, well, don't run against them because they're good, they're gold, they're doing good stuff for our community. So your help is to continue to support us financially, and also to work with us in the things that we do. Because you're in the trenches, you're talking to new people who move here, you're talking to people who live here, and the things that are important to them are important to us, and you get it to us. And we make fun of your, Danny and others, but they really do a great job, and I want to thank her for, leading the charge to get your thoughts, your messages to us. And I'm looking forward to Great American Realtor Days this year. Last year I think we were all like, we're not talking to them, but this year, let's plan on having a really great time. Thank you all very much.
It's similar to what Senator Passidomo was saying, but again, last year we definitely had a big disagreement with you guys, or maybe not all of you, but most in the room. But we got through that, and we're family, and kind of with family, sometimes you have fights. But Collier County, we may be one of the smaller counties in numbers, but the rest of the state pays attention. Matter of fact, every single presidential candidate in the last 20 years has come through Collier County, and it's because of dollars. And our dollars matter, and it shouldn't just be about money, but when you see, some of the groups that just push that back on ideals, like, oh my God, we can't have growth because we need clean water. Well, you need money to have clean water. Oh my God, we can't have farming because, farming does X, but there's not anybody in this room that can live without food. And we have to get past, our deals and make sure we get the right candidates elected that are willing to have these tough conversations. And a lot of the tough conversations we had, and I know we had kind of fun at my expense on the vacation rental bill, which you're all gonna pay later.
Not me.
But we have to push back on local government sometimes because, local government, maybe not here in Collier County and Lee County so much, but around the state, they're ones that are standing in the way of development. They're the ones trying to put the farmers out of business. They're the ones that, they have their piece of paradise and they want to take away the rights of everybody else at times. And again, believe me, I kind of like the way the roads are and the amount of people that are here, just enough to support our businesses. But we have to let growth be smart, and we can't just let local government stop it. Or I was just over in Miami-Dade, and there's a road that's been approved for about 15 years for development. The local government actually approved it. It's ready. It's in front of DOT, but now the county commissioner has to give. Well, the county commissioner now, the new county commissioner over in Miami, they fight over everything. They're saying, we don't care what the past county commissioners did. We're going to fight it, and they're suing the state of Florida to build this road. And there's developers that are waiting to build thousands of homes for a road that was approved initially 20 years ago. We're going to probably win in court, but these are the things that I know the three of us and others like us that are willing. Listen, we have to give people the rights to their property and not stand in the way, and still make sure we can protect the quality of life, and we can do that. And that's why we need your support, and we need to make sure that we continue, because we see states like. Right now, every state's in great shape because federal government gave them trillions and billions of dollars. But when and if the recession comes, Florida will stand and survive. Other states will not, and we'll be there because of good decisions. So we appreciate your support and whatever you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to echo the same, reaching out to Florida realtors, asking Florida realtors to get busy with contributions. That's really important. I will also be out door knocking. Any of you that want to join me and go out door knocking, many of you may know a name, Tim Weishire.
Yes.
Tim Weishire's brother-in-law, Representative Hawkins, is in one of the toughest races probably in the state. So we have our freshman class has put together a super walk for Tim Weishire's brother-in-law in August. And if any of you are interested in going and helping to door knock, then please give me a call or text or reach out to my staff. And I would love to have you all come join. I think it would be great if we could send a message that the Naples Realtors are boots on the ground and want to help support some of our own. So that would be my ask.
Where is that?
It'll be up around the Orlando area, but I can give Danny or PJ more details. It will be August 5th or 6th, so it's on a weekend. And I'm happy to give you all the details. If you all want to caravan, we can caravan and door knock.
It's a lot of fun.